Guess what? The Content Creators University is a show that airs every single week, but I want to connect with you. I want you to go ahead and download my mobile application. If you have an iPhone, go ahead and download my app called JP Hightek TV right now onto your phone. If you have a TV, a smart TV, my app is also available on your Roku TV, right? Go ahead and download JP Hightek TV on your Roku TV or your Amazon Fire TV right now, and let's connect together, right? I want you to grow with me. I want us to grow together. If you love podcasts, I'm also happy to tell you that the Content Creators University is available syndicated across every podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Audible, Google Podcasts, you name it, we are there. Spotify and all of that. Go ahead and download it, listen to it, and do me a favor. If you appreciate what we're doing, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Leave me a review on any of those podcast platform or mobile application platform. Let me know if any of the hard work that we're putting into this community, this broadcast, this podcast is helping you. If you appreciate all the amazing guests that we're bringing onto the platform to share their expertise with you. This is a lot of work, family, and I'm doing all this in order for you to be able to grow your business the right way, leveraging content creation. Thanks so much, and if you appreciate what we do, go ahead and as well subscribe to the YouTube channel, JP Hightek Reviews. Follow me personally if you want to, connect with me on all social media, and the handle is @JP Hightek. I love connecting. Like I always say, network is the new currency. So I want to see you online, I want to connect with you, and I want to hear from you. Let's grow together. Be safe, like I always say. See you next time. Shalom. Peace. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Content Creators University. I'm your humble servant, JP, and you guys know this is something we do every single week. And so excited because we have another amazing guest backstage today, and we're talking about audience engagement, right? The secret behind audience engagement. If you're struggling with that, right? And knowing that this is honestly the foundation to having the best communication, right? For you to really impact whenever you're speaking, and knowing that we all use speaking as a way to convey an information to people, whether you're a teacher, coach, content creator, you name it, you have to communicate, right? And so you have to be able to create engagement with your audience so they can resonate with what you're saying, and ultimately they will want to spend money with your product and services. And so that's what we're talking about today with our expert, Tatiana Rodriguez. A little more about her in just a little bit. If you're new, well, allow me to welcome you here. Let us know in the comment section where are you joining us from. I would love to give you guys some shout out. And if you, of course, you have any questions for our guests during the conversation, absolutely, we'll be more than happy to share that and answer your questions live, because it's about to be an amazing conversation. Now, of course, if you did not know, one thing that we do here is we do share the news, because this show is both listeners and sponsors supported. And so we share the news, we talk about our sponsors, and we talk about what's new in the Content Creators University, right? And then we bring our guests onto the stage. And so depending on where you're listening to this podcast from or where you're watching it on, I want to encourage you to do one thing. Make sure that you come right here on YouTube, which is our home. That's our main place for you to come to, right? And the handle is @JP Hightek, JPHIGHTK, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're more than happy to have you part of the community of amazing creators. Our motto here is create, impact, and innovate. And if you want to know a little more about me, well, I'm a global branding expert. I work with small business owners, entities, and corporations build a premium brand, and we leverage a couple of things: live video, content creation, and your visibility, right, to allow you to charge more for your product and services. And I'm honored to be the founder of an amazing agency, one of the best, as a matter of fact, here. And I'm honored to say that in the state of Tennessee, called Perfect Zone Productions. Well, buckle up, family. Let's go ahead and talk about the news and get into the content. Let's go.
This is Todd.
Hi.
This is Todd's mom.
Hi.
In a moment, Todd's mom will read her son's internet browsing history.
What?
Aloud, please.
No.
Supermodels on trampolines.com. Why don't girls like me? How to overcome an overbearing mother.
Okay, cut.
If you wouldn't want
Stop.
mom looking through your web history, why would you let hackers, ad companies, or your internet and cellular provider do the same thing?
Why does my junk burn?
They can track and record everything you do online, but not if you have ExpressVPN.
Why did you buy a $200 ninja outfit?
For fighting.
ExpressVPN apps keep your activity and identity private while you browse, stream, email, or download. Protect all of your devices with just one click.
Are my hands small?
Okay, I'm done. You guys are all terrible people.
ExpressVPN. Take back your privacy today.
Ooh.
Hey, listen, this is the news, family. This is the news, right? My very first book, The Livestream Blueprint, is now available for pre-order. The official date that it will be dropping is November 3rd. And family, I'm telling you, if you're looking for ways to start or scale your business leveraging live video, well, I'll put everything in this book. I'm so excited because I've been doing this for so long, family. What am I talking about? I've been leveraging going live, right? Every single week to grow my business for so long. And going live transformed my business. It transformed my life. It allowed me to do certain things that I didn't believe I would be able to do. In this book, we're not just talking about technical stuff, but how to really spark an emotion, how to really use live video to attract your correct target audience. What's the mindset to approach in order to do it? What's the purpose of even doing it live versus pre-recorded videos, right? And how can you really make the return on your investment? Family is available right now. Go to the website, thelivestreamblueprint.com, thelivestreamblueprint.com, and this will be available in 4 versions. You will have, the hard copy, and I made it so easy that you can read this thing, in 3-4 hours, the same day you pick it up, and you will really get everything you need to get in order to go out and destroy your competition, because that's what I do. I'm a global branding expert, and I help individuals, organizations, and small business owners scale fast and dominate their competition, right? So if you appreciate the things you're watching, if you're like, yo, JP, I'm loving what I'm seeing right now, know that this is not just for fun, even though it's a fun thing to do, and there's a strategy to the madness. And I want you to have the strategy. I want you to understand that it's not just about posting videos every single week on, social media every single day, everywhere, in hopes that you have a return. All you have to do is go right now and check it out. The livestreamblueprint.com is where you need to go. And family, I want to hear from you. I want you to leave me a review when you get this today on Amazon or on the website, The Livestream Blueprint. And guess what, family? We would just approve on Barnes & Noble as well. Yeah. Barnes & Noble, let's go, right? Again, The Livestream Blueprint is here. And I want to hear from you. Let's go ahead and grow with this, family, because this is what it's all about. Hey family, you heard the news, right? You heard the Livestream Blueprint is available for you to get right now. Somebody asked, okay, what is it that I have to care so much about live video? Listen, live video is the only way that you can, at the same time, right, promote your product or services, establish yourself as an expert, which is crucial, right? To build trust and for people that want to buy your product or services, right? Create and foster engagement. Think about one thing. Why is it that people want information now? People want to watch the news now. They want to purchase the product now. Think about whenever Apple released a product. Why is it there's always a line in front of the store? The same product will be available a few days later, still in the stores, but people want it now. You can only do that during live streams, all right? And live streams live video allows you to, build a community surrounding the things that you value the most, which are the product and your services, which is the best way to really scale your company. And you know what? Everyone wants to pay for qualified leads, but live video already allows you to qualify a lead and put a, call to action so you can convert that lead fast. More in the book. Go ahead and get it again, going by, visiting the website, livestreamblueprint.com is the place for you to go. And I can tell you, family, you will love this, right? You will love it. It's available for pre-order right now. The livestreamblueprint.com is the website. And talking about our sponsor, I know you guys watched, we just talked about ExpressVPN, right? ExpressVPN is sharing and giving each and every one of you guys that are listening and watching to this podcast right now 3-month free, right? you can get 3 months free. All you have to do is go to the website, expressvpn.com/JP Hightek, right? Get yourself 3 months free with a 12-month subscription. Getting your virtual private network is crucial to protect your your digital assets, and not exposing yourself to potential leaks or anything on the web. Again, the website is expressvpn.com/JP Hightek. Go ahead and get yourself free 3 months. You will love it. Now, of course, family, some of you guys are like, JP, I want to work with you. Well, yes, you can do that today. You can work with me by going to my website, right? jphightek.com. And this, of course, is going to show you that we have our mentorship program called the Private Circle open today. Okay. Go ahead, visit the website, jphightek.com/mentorship. If you really want to level up, all right, you're like, yo, I've been posting things and I really want to level up my brand. I want a true return on my investment. I'm not understanding why is it that I'm not getting the traffic that I deserve or people not engaging with me. Well, we'll talk about that. I'll hold your hand and step by step we'll grow your brand. All right, family, that's what we're talking about. And that will be it for the news for today. And now let's talk about what's going to happen. Before we do that, I just want to let you know this week is jam-packed, right? This Thursday, we will be with Dr. Mary MJ McConnor, right? She's going to be here with us, and we're talking about, daring to be different. What are the pros and cons to that? And of course, tomorrow, right, we will have our guest here, the CEO of Capcho, an AI solution for entrepreneurs. So tune in, subscribe to the channel. We'll be here tomorrow at, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm excited to have them here. So now, enough about all that. Let's go ahead and talk about our guest tonight, and her name is Tatiana Rodriguez, and she's an educator that helps adjunct professors create dynamic classes that students love and remember. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and bring our guest onto the stage right after this short intro. Let's go. Get your pen and ready. It's about to be good. Tatiana's coming. Hey, Tatiana, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Hello, JP. Happy Tuesday. Happy to be here with you.
Yes, happy Tuesday. So honored that you've taken the time to come here. Of course, you are our professor today. Like we always say, our guests are our professors. So Professor Rodriguez in the place. And that is so sad for you because that's actually what you do in real life, right? You teach people.
It is. Although I will tell you, JP, in the classroom, I do invite my students to call me Tatiana. Some students, they can't break the habit of saying professor, but most of the time I openly invite everybody to call me by my first name. But it does sound kind of cool to hear say Professor Rodriguez from time to time.
I know. All right. So tonight we are talking about audience engagement, the secret, right? This is something that is so needed, right? It's something that we really need to understand if we want to grow, right? When we're talking about creating that engagement with our audience, people to listening to us when we're sharing information. And there's a strategy to do that. Before we dive into the nitty and gritty, take a minute, please. Introduce yourself to the folks that are like, yo, JP, who is she? What makes her so amazing that I know she's amazing. Go ahead, take it away. Introduce yourself to the folks.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. Second of all, I want to say hello to everybody watching us live today and anybody who's watching us in the replay as well. A little bit about me. Like JP, like you said, I love that, also at your service. I have a big heart to share the content that I create and to be of help to our community. And in this case, the community is our content creation community, which is filled with lovely and wonderful people. I teach at Rutgers University in New Jersey. I teach leadership courses, public speaking courses, and I'm actually getting ready to teach this summer coming up a social media course that I'm excited to build from the ground up as well. But public speaking, communication skills, that's really my heart. And that's just a space that I love and enjoy that's continuously growing. you can never make it in the
Hmm.
communications field. There is no top. It's just always something that you're developing and growing. And I particularly love connecting with young adults, helping them in that stage of life to grow their skills, to be confident. And audience engagement is something that I stress significantly in the classroom. So, and also with adjunct professors, the goal of my online platform, so outside of the physical classroom that's either in person or virtually, is to help adjunct professors create that same experience, that space where you're using active learning strategies to create a memorable experience, and that students will
Hmm.
walk away at the end of the semester saying, this is the best class I've ever taken. So that's a little bit about me.
Man, it's amazing. My wife, she's an educator as well. And so I have a huge respect for educators. You guys are so amazing because it does take a lot of time and patience, right?
Oh my Lord. So
To
much time. So much time.
you're trying to like inject your knowledge into somebody else, and so many people are in your on your career and take your classes and really want to grow from the things you're doing, which is commendable. It's really amazing. So thank you for what you do. I really have a huge respect for that. Now let's go ahead and give some shout out to these folks in the comment section. These amazing
Yes,
folks that
please.
are joining us. Look at that. I have my man, the one and only, the honest accomplice, right? That's Dan.
Yes.
Dan, thanks
Hi,
for joining
Dan.
us.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Thanks for being here. And look at that. I have Marcus and Professor Rodriguez
Hey,
is here.
Marcus. Marcus is joining us from Switzerland.
Wow, look at that. Switzerland. Amazing. Thanks for that. Switzerland in the place. And of course, First Lady Cree was good. Thanks for being here and
Hi,
joining
Cree.
us, Cree. We appreciate you guys. Again, for the you guys that are on Amazon Live, folks, I'm looking down because Amazon Live is not showing in my comment section in my quarter here. SG, thanks for being here. Jay, what's good? We appreciate you guys being here. If you guys have any question, ask. And we'll be more than happy to ask our professor in here live so she can answer those questions for us. All right, let's go ahead and dive into what we're talking about today. All right, before we do that, Tatiana, I have a question for you, right? If you were a superhero, and this is something we ask all of our guests, who will that superhero be and why?
Oh man, I always have a hard time with these questions. It's hard for me to pick just any one thing. I like lots of things, but if I had to pick, I would want to do a blend if that's allowed.
Yeah,
I've
of
always been
course.
fascinated by Professor X from the X-Men. His character, his personality has always appealed to me. So I would want to blend Professor X with Wonder Woman. And I think that would be my superhero, because I still want to be able to fly and do like really cool things, but I also want to be able to have this strength, this wisdom, and be able to be in a position of leadership, and then have all these really cool abilities, like the lasso of truth, you know. Nobody can lie to me. I know what's up. And have an
That's
invisible plane and be able
right.
to fly around the world. So, and also I think that there's this inherent goodness in both of them that is very appealing to me too.
I gotta say, it's the first time any guest, and we're in season 5, family, and so any guests have ever blended more, two or more superheroes together, and I gotta say that is pretty amazing. And thank you for doing that because, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he had to take an educator to think outside the box like that. Say, I see your question, but can I do this? Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for doing
Thank
that.
you.
Look at
Thank you.
that.
It's just what popped in my mind. But I'm good for that. I'm good for a little this, a little that.
Hey, Lori Bonaparte. Thanks for being here.
Lori.
We appreciate you. All right. So now I want to know, Tatiana, if you had the chance, right, to meet your 25-year-old self today, right? So we're talking Tatiana when she was 25 years old. What will be one major advice you'll give her and why?
I'm going to put a pin on that slightly quickly just to tell you how much I appreciate this question, because when I was doing interviews regularly on my channel too, I would
Mhm.
continuously the consistent question. I had a few questions that I asked every guest too. One of them was, if you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self for 15 seconds, what would you say? So you made it 25-year-old me, and you didn't give me a time limit. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's got nothing to do with content creation. And for the just so we're clear, 25 now. Oh, that's funny. Just saying Tatiana is 25. Thank you. Actually, I'm 46, but thank you very much, Dan. What I would say to my 25-year-old self, it's nothing to do with content creation. It's nothing to
Mm-hmm.
What I would tell my 25-year-old self is very personal. And in my 30s and 40s, especially in my 30s, I did a lot of work to help myself get to a place of confidence where I've always felt very confident in my intellect, in my goodness, in my intellect, in my goodness, and in my ability to connect with other people. But I did struggle significantly growing up with body image issues and the way that I looked. So
Mm.
now I love teaching confidence in video to people. And I never let that stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do, but it was quite an internal struggle. So what I would tell my 25-year-old self is put that stuff down.
Mm.
Let that stuff go and don't waste any time on that. Just truly enjoy your life. And like the French say, work harder on feeling bien dans sa peau, which is good in your own skin. So that's the message that I would tell my 25-year-old self.
Wow. That speaks so much at so many levels to so many things in life that I have to take a pause and thank you for that, because if only so many people, would just see themselves the way God sees them and believe in yourself. There's so many fights that we will not have to deal with,
Yes.
And I want to thank you for that, because, we are worth it. There's so many people listening to this podcast. If you're listening and you're watching this, I want you to know you are worth it. Regardless of what you might be going through, you are worth it, right?
Yes.
You overcame, and somebody gave birth to you is already a fight that you won against other ones, right?
Yeah.
And
maybe this will help somebody. This was a lesson that really helped me in this regard, is that I really needed to learn to treat myself internally. Because again, this was never, no one would ever know. This is just what was happening inside my mind. To treat myself internally the way that I would treat my best friend. And if I wouldn't say those words or have those thoughts to my best friend, I shouldn't be having them about myself either. So being my own best friend was the life-changing mindset that I needed to get to a much healthier place inside my mind. And I bring it up tonight because it's something people don't readily talk about. And I know it's not the topic of our conversation tonight, but since we're going back in time for life-changing advice,
right,
that is front and center for me, is sharing that message with other people, and something that I need to live into, because here I am having this opportunity to be in a position of leadership with young adults, and even with my own younger family members. We have kids in my family ranging from age 12 all the way down to 3. And I think, I wouldn't want that for them. I want to practice what I preach. So feeling good is an important part, something that I really want to be able to model for our kids too. And I don't have my own children, but in a way, my legacy is with the students in the classroom as well. So all of that comes together.
It sure is, and I love it. And that is for me the core essence for success in life, right? And success is not about having money in your bank account. So we already established that in a different episode here, and so that is very important. And thank you for taking the time to go there. Let's jump into it, right? We're talking audience engagement today, right? Audience engagement. So before we even ask any question, we need to establish what that even means for a professional like you. So please tell us professionally to you and personally, what does audience engagement even mean? And, how can somebody interpret its true essence in building meaningful connections?
Audience engagement to me is an active word. And so it means that there will be a lot of action and the audience is directly involved in your anything that you do, whether it's a live stream, whether it's a class, whether it's a course, whether it's
Hmm.
a webinar, whatever you're doing, there's that active element from the audience. So I'll give you some props, JP, because when we went live, one of the first things that you did was use people's names in the chat, put up their comments. And I think that's one of the reasons I keep going back to the live streams that I frequent every week is because people say my name.
Hmm.
People acknowledge and recognize that I'm there. And that's part of it, right? It's not just about delivering the content, but who are the people that are showing up with you there? Who are the people that are there? And the number one strategy that you've been using all night is saying people's names, acknowledging their presence, helping them feel seen and heard, even though they're not being seen, right? Because we don't actually get to see those people, but acknowledging their participation is very rewarding for people. So that in essence is a very general description, is the active element from an audience. And I think there was a second part to your question, but I don't
Yeah,
recall
I
what it
mean,
was.
yeah. So first of all, thank you for that. Right, acknowledgement and acknowledging your audience is already, transformative. So I love that. And so the second part of what I was asking is how can somebody leverage that, right, to build meaningful connections. But you've answered that by giving that
Mhm.
example on how I'll call people's name out, and having that genuine connection with them, even though they're not in the same physical room with us here, right? They feel valued, and I believe you've said it. Where that is what audience engagement is giving your audience a sense of value, right? Making them feel valued and acknowledged regardless of where they're at or how they're connecting to you, how you guys are coming together in the room. So this leads us to, of course, the next question that I want to ask you is how important, right? If you were to place that in a journey of a professional, whether they're creator, whether they're, in the workforce, how important will you say is audience engagement on a scale to anybody that's trying to effectively make an impact in society today?
Well, I would say it's probably the number one thing everyone has to do. I would put
Hmm.
that at the top of the list. I truly honestly would put that as number one. And it's even in my classes, it's one of the very first lessons we do. First, we talk about fear. Secondly, we talk about audience engagement. And I just want to give a shout out to Marcus who said, say my name in the chat. Because yes, that was very appropriate.
Yes,
Very
he
nice job,
did.
Marcus. But I think it's critical. I think that if you want to build a community, if you want people to continue to come and participate with you, if you want to develop relationships, audience engagement is simply not an option, and it should be a primary focus of your channel, of your platform, whatever work that you're doing with people. 100%.
You know, I was going to say something, but this message that came in kind of summarized it. I was going to tell you, you're amazing. And Tatiana, Tiffany M in the comment section is saying, Tatiana seems so genuine. I love it. And that's what I was going to say.
Aw,
I'm like, Tatiana, one thing about you, and that's also part
thank you.
of creating that engagement with your audience, is being honest, genuine with them, right? Being real. Because
Yes.
when if they come, and they will, so when they come in your room and the sense that you are not real, right, with them, you are not even acknowledging their pain points, right? Because you can acknowledge a person without acknowledging their pain points, without helping, right? And so if they feel that, then there will be a sense of disconnect. And one aspect about you that I appreciate is as soon as somebody starts talking to you, they feel drawn to become your best friend. How do you do it? Honestly.
That's so sweet. That's very sweet. I think I don't actually know. I don't actually know how to answer that question other than I really enjoy connecting with people. That is just a pleasure of my life, and I am more of an extroverted human being than an introverted one. Certainly I appreciate quiet time and chance to recharge, but I do like getting to know people,
Mhm.
and so maybe that's a part of it. It's part of it is nature, but it's just also something that's valuable to me, and so I make an effort. And I honestly don't know any other way other than to be myself. So maybe that's a part of it too, is that it's like, well, what else is there if it's not just being me?
And that's the best thing, right? You're the same in front of the camera or behind the camera, off camera, on camera. It doesn't matter. She is the same, and that's what I love. Now, can you tell us a memorable story where audience engagement truly transformed a business or project that you may know of, leaving a lasting impression?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind really is my classroom experiences with my students. And I just finished creating a teaching portfolio, like a formal documentation with teaching history, teaching philosophy, reflections, testimonials from students, evaluations, supporting documents, this very extensive document to be able to apply for my advancement. So I've been reflecting so much on those experiences in the college classroom and looking back at the feedback from the first semester, a different class to the current semester, the feedback is consistently the same.
Hmm.
Consistently, my students appreciate having a professor that cares about them, having a professor that sees them as more than just a student who needs to get a grade to complete a set of assignments, creating a sense of belonging, creating a sense of acceptance. And the way that I do that is through audience engagement,
Hmm.
right? They feel connected not just to me, but to each other in the classroom. Because it's not just about, I love for them to build a relationship with me. I'm only one
Right.
person. I want
Hmm.
them to be able to connect with each other as a group of peers, as a group of people who in the future will become part of their professional network as well, who've been through the pains of a public speaking class together, who can share it, who can share that bond. So I think the most evident place that I see it happening in my own professional life currently is in the classroom.
You know, this is amazing. And one thing, knowing the fact that you are an educator and having living with one myself, I know there's one thing that you leverage a lot, which is storytelling, right? So I want you to share with the audience today how the storytelling, right, plays a very powerful role in creating that engagement with your audience, right? Give us
Definitely.
the tips and tricks on that.
You got it. I actually prepared a little visual that I think will be helpful as we think about ourselves as creators, as storytellers. Let me pop my screen up here for you. So if you can think about stories and what it does to our brain. This is something I learned from Shane Snow, who had a creative live course, and I learned about this it was really a long time ago. But anyway, Shane Snow, when we hear data, our brain lights up in two different areas. And
Hmm.
this will be the language comprehension and the language processing centers, right? So we hear numbers, we hear facts, we hear figures. But when we hear stories, way more areas of our brain light up. In fact, a total of seven, not just two. And these are the areas that involve our senses, our sense of smell, sound,
Hmm.
taste, touch, imagery, movement. And so we already know if you think about stories growing up, this is a way that we learn. Stories are interesting. Stories do have a structure, right? So
Hmm.
that's maybe a conversation for another day, the structure of how to tell a great story. But they help us connect because stories trigger emotional responses in us. And inevitably, we try to connect to the character or characters in that story, to the circumstances, to the situation. And we typically want to know what happens in a story. So this the way that we can use it is also understanding that when we share, stories bring people's brains together. So there is a synchronicity that I know Chris Anderson, the leader of TED, he talks about this
Mm-hmm.
concept where brains start synchronizing based on the storyteller and what's happening, which I think is a fascinating concept. And there are so many benefits that story has. First of all, they're how we think and how we learn. From the time we're tiny babies, we're hearing stories that are
Mm-hmm.
fascinating. Think about a favorite book that you listened to growing up and how many times you wanted to hear that story over and over and over again. Or your favorite movie growing up that you wanted to ask your parents, can I watch it again? Can I watch it again? So even if we know the ending, we're still fascinated by the story. Also, our brain is just programmed to seek stories. So we have a story seeking brain. They also help our messages be more memorable. Anytime we can inject them with stories, they travel further. They inspire people much more to take action, to change things in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And they also help people address challenges. So those are just some of the ways that stories can help us. But if do we have time for me to share like one more scientific
Yes.
term?
Yes, please go ahead.
There's something called, this is a term that we should memorize, and it's called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons were discovered, I think it was in the 80s and 90s, by a neuroscientist who was doing some work in Italy where they had recorded the brain activity of some monkeys that they were running experiments on, and they recorded their activity when the monkeys were eating peanuts. They forgot to take them off, and then at some point the humans were eating in front of the monkeys. And what they
Mm.
found when they compared the two is that their brain activity was similar when the monkeys were eating peanuts as when they were watching the humans eating peanuts. And so this term, mirror neurons, is what we call when we connect to a story and we empathize. When you hear JP, you sharing about your wife being an educator, there's something in me that connects to that because I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
So even when we're sharing anecdotes, we're not fully sharing stories, but imagine how much more powerful it is when we do share stories. I remember being on Marcus's live stream and I actually started off sharing a bit of a story, where I was in a previous career, what happened and how I came into content creation. And I remember at one point he said to me, I forgot we were doing a live stream for a couple of seconds. I was just wrapped up in that story. And the same thing happens to us. And even watching a movie, reading a book, watching our favorite show, whatever it is, we connect deeply to stories because we have mirror neurons. And it explains why stories are so powerful and why we need to continuously be using them in an ethical and genuine way in our content.
Wow. 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 This is amazing. Amazing, family. I hope you're taking note because these are mini master classes she's giving us today. And this is just mind blowing. Look at that. I have my man, David Hunt. What's good, David?
Hey,
Appreciate
David,
you.
what's going on, David?
Thanks for joining us here. And it's just amazing how storytelling can take your communication and engagement level from 2 or 3 all the way to 10. It's amazing how our brains react to stories, right? And it's just something that is amazing because whenever we look around and we look across any industry, when we watch commercials, TV commercials, or you name it, right? And I always say that in branding that, people connect with your story. People listen to your story and identify with their own experiences with what you just shared. And from there, they now want to become part of your tribe because they identify with you. They see themselves with you. Or whenever you're sharing something, you go in a grocery store and something happens to somebody by just sharing, hey, that happened to me the other day. And instantly, even though you just met, story sharing becomes the bonding element between two strangers.
Yes. And I just thought of this. I wish I had pulled it out of my closet to show it to you as a visual aid here, but I had the chance to meet and photograph Mariano Rivera back when I was a photographer and a videographer, and he's a baseball player for the New York Yankees. And so, I'm having a conversation with him, and he shared so much stuff in that conference that day that I honestly don't remember, but I remember the story he shared. I know it was good stuff, right? I know what he shared was good stuff. But the story that he shared is the thing I remember the most. He told me how when he was a little boy growing up in Panama, which resonated with me because I was born next door in a country, Costa Rica, came here when I was very young, grown up in the United States, but already I felt that little connection like, oh, he's from the same part of the world that I'm from. And he shared how when he was little, him and his friends, they could not afford a baseball glove, but they loved playing baseball. So they would find cardboard boxes everywhere that they could. They would cut a rectangle shape and then a smaller rectangle on the bottom so that they could fit their hand inside the glove. They would wet it, and that's how they would play with these cardboard gloves that they would make. And my mind is blown because here's this guy who could afford to have golden gloves made if he wanted to, but he's reminiscing, telling me this story when he was a little boy. And that just connected me to him in a very different way because I could now get a sense of his core values, of his upbringing, the way that he expresses himself. I just got a sense of humility. And I know it's a limited experience. Like, I don't actually know him and his character, but what I got from that was honesty, humility, willingness to share, openness, and also you get to experience the tremendous growth that he's had in his life. So to me, that is also the power of stories. Like I said, he said so much great stuff that day that I know I wrote down in my notes, but this is the thing I remember all these years later.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. Shout out to you, my man, TV Box. Stop. He's saying big shout out to JP. The life is deep. I feel warmth from your guest. I want to give her a big, great hug. Thank you.
TV Box, stop. Well, here's a little hug for you. Thank you.
And I have a man, David Hunt, said, that's awesome. The power of the story. Indeed. These are 100%. Really, really amazing stuff. So, Tatiana, how do we find the balance then? Because somebody will ask you, okay, how do we balance between being real and being professional at the same time? From your experience, can you please give us an advice? How would you do it, right? If I have a business, right? And I'm like, what is too much sharing or, less sharing? What's the right balance, or how do you weigh that? What would be your advice to somebody that's wondering the best way?
Number one, I really deal with the concept that there's a difference between personal and professional, right? The professional world is full of people, therefore, really everything is personal. I, of course, understand that there are boundaries, right? You don't walk into your first day of work and start sharing about drama when you were 7.
Right.
That's oversharing, that's inappropriate, that's having unhealthy boundaries. But everything is personal in business. And there's a song, and it's a very popular song, but one of the lyrics is no emotion. That's what business is. And I'm like, yeah, right. That's complete crap. That makes no sense at all, right? There's always that people element. So I think never forgetting that is truly important. But to answer the question, it's 2 parts. And again, this could be a whole session just on its own. But number 1 is you really have to know yourself. But that's only half of it. You also have to know how you relate to other people. So one of the things I do in my classroom is helping my students get to know themselves, their personalities, their tendencies, and lots of different models, right? I don't just show you have to do DISC, or you only have to do Myers-Briggs, or only the 4 tendencies, or only the 5-factor model. You'll get to know lots of things and see what introversion, extroversion, but then also how you relate to the world, because then you can be your authentic self once you have established that. Like, I I'm not a funny person. I love being lighthearted and silly and playful, but being funny just doesn't come naturally to me. And I wish it did. Like, I would ask God, please make me funny, because I think it's so great when speakers are funny and hilarious. And I love to laugh, but my brain doesn't work that way. It just doesn't come up with funny things quickly. But there are people who are funny, and then that's the way they connect to the world. So finding your strength and connecting in a genuine way is huge, right? That's, to me, that's a huge part of it, how you would approach the balance. And I think as much as we can as adults too, having have gone through developing our emotional intelligence and counseling and therapy and healing from the things that we've experienced will help us feel confident, comfortable as we create our content, as we present ourselves to the world. So much is in that little bit that I just said, but that I think is a huge part of it, is really knowing yourself and knowing how you relate best to other people.
I love it. Hey, folks, you got to understand, she gets paid the big bucks for this type of things. We got her for a little bit, and so she's giving us a little bit, which is a lot for us, because look at what Marcus said right in the comment. Marcus is saying he is taking notes, right? He said he's taking note. And I appreciate that, Marcus. Yes, I am taking note with you as well. And he also said, Marcus said that as someone who had, to see through countless of, numbing power presentations, I appreciate true connections. And that's true. I remember when I was in college and you have this boring professor, right? Like, think about that, Tatiana. You have this professor that's super, super boring. I mean, it makes it so hard to focus, right? To even understand what he's talking about and to take proper notes, which is something that is vital, because when you're in college, they're not going to tell you what note to take, right? So you got to be able to truly understand what the professor is talking about. And even being able to ask questions requires that connection with the speaker, right? And if you don't feel, you feel impersonal, feel that they're just there to talk at you, instead of talking to you, you feel like, okay, I just want him to be.
And that's never been okay. Right? That's never been engaging, ever. And the difference nowadays, though, is when I was in college, we didn't have cell phones to be distracted by. Now there's so many other things to occupy your mind, but it's just too easy. And that's part of the reason why I launched my platform, is I want to help people be the opposite of that boring educator, that boring professor, and really truly helping build deep connections. Now, let's recap a little bit of what we talked about so far, because we talked about so many things. When it comes to audience connection, one of the first things we said is acknowledging your audience, addressing them, rewarding them for coming, for showing up, using their name, showing their comments, saying their comments, talking to them, right? That it is that reciprocal relationship, even though live streaming, the people aren't there with you in video, but they are giving you their presence and your attention. And you know that they're doing it through their comments. So making sure that you acknowledge that. Then we talked about the value and the power of incorporating stories, particularly that concept of mirror neurons, why we connect so deeply, why we empathize when we hear stories. Memories help our content stick. They're memorable, they stick with us, and they teach us valuable lessons. Another part of audience engagement is playing some games together. So I have a little question for you guys here. And JP, you can play along too. And I know there's often a little lag here, but I have a question. On average, what percentage of your content do people tend to remember? So even tonight, right? What percentage of what we're saying here tonight are you going to remember? Is it A, 60%? Is it B, 45%? Is it C, 25%? Or is it D, 10%? Let me know what you guys think, and we can chat a little bit, JP, because I know it takes a little time.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and put it in the comment section. Hey, David Hunt, TV Box Stop, Tiffany, Dan, everyone, let's go ahead and put in the comment section what percentage, right, of this. So A, B, C, or D, right? Do you remember, right? So I'm putting my answer in right now. Let's go. Yes, the answers are coming in. I appreciate you guys. Nice. I see your answer, Lori. Bonaparte, thank you. Sportia, thank you. He says 10%. That's D. I have B. David Hunt has his answer in. That's amazing,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
All right. So you guys ready to hear what the actual answer is? All right, guys. The correct answer is D. 10%.
Wow.
10%. So, David, yes, Marcus, very optimistic. I wish it was 60%. I wish you guys would remember 60% of what you're learning here tonight or what we learn in any conversation, but it is 10%. And JP, that's something that I learned from Dr. Carmen Simon, who's a neuroscientist. And she shares like 10%. It is an average because sometimes it'll be a little more, sometimes it'll be a little less, depending. But if we were to group people together, on average, people are 10% of what you say. The trick is,
Wow.
are we helping them remember the right 10%?
Mm.
Are we formatting our content in such a way that 10% that we want them to take away is going to stick in their mind? And we don't do that often enough. So in addition to the strategies we talked about, it is about planning your audience engagement as well, and
Right,
making
right.
sure that your content is packaged in such a way that you're helping them remember, because we can't do anything about that. It's going to be 10% approximately, no matter what we do. But can we help them remember the 10% we want them to take away? And some of the ways we can do that is by making it more interesting,
Well, you just
highlighting
proved
certain
it.
things in a certain way.
You just did it. Look at that. Now people will remember this poll that we just played. And shout out to you, Kerwin Barnell, right? Thanks for joining us here. And David Hunt is saying that he said he listens to it over and over. Whenever you listen to the same presentation over and over, definitely the percentage will increase. But one time you listen to the whole thing, the percentage staying around 60. Oh man, I said 60, 10%. See, now I'm saying what David said, right? 60, staying around 10%.
We wish.
I know, right? Staying around 10%, right? Is amazing. Mark said full circle. I remember the stories told. Absolutely. And that's amazing, right? What you said, Tatiana, is how or what do we do for them to really take away that 10% in a powerful way? In other words, how are we impacting them within those 10% that we know they will be taken away? And that's powerful, keeping that in mind whenever we're preparing, because this poll that you just presented was planned prior, and you just talked about it, planning your presentation, right? And knowing the things that you will use that will help you with the engagement factor and help you, captivate their attention, because I understand that after a while, people seem to want to have a little break. And talking about that, let's go ahead and take a quick ad break. And that's why I have that in my show as well. We'll take a quick ad break. When we come back, now we'll be talking about, interactive content like polls, quizzes, Q&A, and also, experiences, how to include our experiences, and looking at user-generated content with our personal stories, putting that together for our presentation. More to talk about shortly, right after this intro ad. We'll be right back, family. Take a break. Let me drink some water. See you in a little bit. Bye.
Miss Luck, I'm so happy. I look so good, y'all. I'm crispy. All right, I'm crispy. I'm done. Listen, y'all. Oh my goodness. Life is a little dull sometimes, right? You can see my colors right now. My colors is a little dull. And sometimes you gotta bring a little bit more life to what you do. Look at me. My boy JP set me up with an amazing look. The process was incredible. Before he even sent it my way, he told me how my lighting should be. We got on a Zoom call. We went through all of the settings on the camera, made sure I'm white balanced properly, made sure my lighting was right. Even the foreground and background lighting, he made sure everything was crispy. He let me know what popped with my skin. He made me feel real good. Okay, he made me feel real good. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. He made me feel real good. And man, you guys can see going from 0, all right, to hero, okay? Like let me just dial it in just enough. He even gave me the number to dial it in on. Now, some of you may be asking, what in the heck is a LUT? Now, a LUT is all about getting that custom dial-in color grading that you need just for your custom look. It was important to me as I'm growing my YouTube channel, as I'm growing as a broadcaster, as I'm growing as a content creator. I wanted to make sure that all of my coloring was right and tuned in each and every single time I turn on the camera. Every single time I look into the camera and I'm doing the video, I want to make sure I look good. And if you are a content creator, you're going to want to have your own custom look. You don't want to just download one from the internet and you just put it in there and it looks kind of cool. You want to make sure you have something that's custom from you that no one else has. And my boy JP is the one who can make it happen for you. I'm so happy with my product. It's just incredible. Get it today. I'm overjoyed. It's just an amazing, amazing quality product, and I appreciate JP so much, man. You just don't know how amazing you are and how great this product is and this LUT. I'm so happy. I look so good, y'all. I'm crispy. All right, I'm crispy. I'm done. Yeah, just get with JP now. Just get with him now. That's it.
Let's bring it back here. All right, family, welcome back. I'm laughing because that ad always gets me laughing. It's just amazing the way my man Jay Dunn talks about his excitement about the product. He's talking about the LUT. If you want your own LUT, family, go ahead and visit the website jphightek.com/custom LUT. A lot of folks ask me, JP, how is it that you look the way you look? And one of the things that I use is a custom LUT that I apply live on my videos so that I can have true colors and so that I can pop. And having the customly made takes into consideration your personal skin tone, your lighting, primary lighting, secondary lighting setup, and also this mood you want to create, modern, moody, and that's so much into it. Again, go ahead and visit the website, jphightek.com/custom LUT, and that will be it. Let's go ahead and bring our guests back onto the stage. Tatiana, thank you so much for that amazing information that you share with us. It's just so engaging. Everybody's loving it, and I want to thank you for all of that. Let me go ahead and bring some comments onto the screen. Kerwin is saying that I knew this, and now I fell within the 10% of the folks I was in the cognitive learning class. There you go, man. You knew it. And so it is true. That's confirmation to what you're saying, Tatiana. And of course, I have my man, Marcus. Marcus is saying that he always loved how Tatiana teaches by example. The quiz was a primary example of audience engagement, and it is true. Love that. See, they enjoyed participating, which is a great example. And Spatia is saying, thank you, JP and Tatiana. Great information. Thank you for being here. And yes, I almost forgot my folks on Amazon Live. Thank you as well that they're saying thank you. They enjoy. Thank you guys for being here as well. This is amazing that you guys are enjoying this show, right? And so now let's take it, a little further here, Tatiana. We're talking about real people experiences, which matters, right? So how do you suggest businesses utilize, customer stories and user-generated content to not just engage, but to also build trust, with their target audience and credibility? What would you say?
Absolutely. Before we head over to that, I just want to say, I want to give a couple of shout outs to, first of all, thank you to everybody that's commenting. It's so nice. The type of engagement that we did before with that quiz question, I want to give a shout out to Anna and Fulgens, who have a show through Ecamm Network called Building Blocks, right? And they're always talking. I say we because I feel like I'm a part of that community too. But they have a show where they continuously helping us up our game in Ecamm. I'm a huge fan of Ecamm, but whatever content you use to be more engaging online, Ecamm is my preferred method to be able to do the kind of things I use online. But you can manually build your own quiz questions. But Anna and Fulgens had a quiz pack. I bought it, and it's great. It makes my life a little easier to be able to do things like I did tonight. So definitely, I'm torn because I want to answer your question, but I also need to go back a little bit and share. So let me just digress to lead up to the answer to your question. So I mentioned Dr. Carmen Simon as a neuroscientist and her work. And one of the things that she talks about is that we have to create engaging content, because when we create engaging content, it gets more attention, it's more memorable, and
Mm-hmm.
when we remember things more, that helps us make better decisions. We make our decisions based on the things that we remember. But why is it that we are so distracted in our world, right? Like there's just so many distractions. And of course, one of those big distractions is our cell phones, our technology. But we need to learn to live within in a world with that. And when we are instructors, teachers, streamers, we have to deal with all of those distractions. And one of the concepts, in addition to handling distractions, is something called habituation. It's like habit, HABITUATION, habituation. And it's just something that we have to learn about ourselves as people. Basically, what that means is that the more accustomed we become to something, any stimulus, any novelty, the less attention we pay to it. So, habituation is essential to our development as people, right? We need to be able to get accustomed to certain things to survive. So, for example, an alarm clock or street noise, right? If when we first enter, we hear a lot of street noise, maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
distracting to us, but after a while, we just get used to it. Or the ice bucket challenge. At first, it
Right.
was getting so much attention, it was huge. Then, after seeing lots of people doing it, you become less interested in it and there are fewer comments. It's because of habitual accustomed to stimulus, even when it's initially it was new and we were excited by it. Sometimes it happens with people, right? We hope we don't just take our partners for granted, our loved ones for granted, but we do become accustomed to certain things. So because we as people have this habituation situation that is just part of our human experience, we have to plan for lots of different things to stimulate their engagement. So we can't just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk without anything in between to break that up. Otherwise, it becomes a monotone stream. You
Mm.
probably all know what a monotone speaker is. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do we make that engagement? By using all these different technologies, right? We use people's names. We the scenes. We switch up the visual imagery. We use a poll. We ask a question. We tell a story. It's about that continuous engagement. It doesn't mean that you're putting on a circus show either, right? It still has to feel natural and authentic to you as a person. But we have to know that there are strategies that are going to keep your audience more engaged. So now back to the storytelling part. To answer your question, JP, how can organizations and businesses use stories of their clients, of their maybe
Mm-hmm.
even their partners or sponsors?
Mm-hmm.
I I mean, because I truly believe in going about this in an ethical way, and I've been a part of organizations that are just looking for the next good story to share because it's a good story, but they're not helping the people whose stories they're sharing feel connected, feel valued. So I think number one is you share the stories of the people you have connections and good relationships with. So that means that first you have to build those connections and those relationships. So
Correct.
inevitably in the content creator circle, you meet great people. So you invite them to come on your show because you end up liking each other, because you want to help each other out. Those relationships grow. For myself, my students are not my customers, but in a way, they are the people I'm providing a service to. I'm
Right.
right now I'm building a collection of testimonials. So I did put out a blanket email to all of my students because in general, their responses and their connections with me are favorable. But
Mm-hmm.
I know that I have to follow up individually with certain people and do a direct ask because everyone's busy. So asking for testimonials is one way to incorporate customer stories into your business, especially with the people that you built close relationships with and for people that you've been able to help. So, for example, the students who have come to me and asked me for a letter of recommendation, they have
Right.
a relationship with me. They wouldn't have asked me for a letter of recommendation if they didn't feel a connection to me, if they didn't feel I could speak to their abilities in the classroom,
Mhm.
And so those are people that would be ideal for me to ask for a testimonial as well, because we have developed those connections. And of course, I know I don't need to say this, but just having their permission to be able to share that.
Right.
But
Mhm.
I say, first, you establish, build relationships that are true, and then you can ask for their stories. And then once they've done those, shared those stories, I think expressing appreciation for that and still being there for them so that they don't feel like you're just asking for their stories for your channel, because it's good content, right? So still treating them well and continuing that relationship afterwards, I think, is really key.
You said it. She said it, family. Something that we've always said in this community, right? Is you gotta build those genuine relationship. Then what do? You leverage, right? The return that you receive from your customers. And how do you do that? Testimonials is one of the best and easiest way, if you have a business, to share the stories. Because they're taking the time to share the testimonials. Video's better, right? AKA, right? But if they can do a video for you, is the best way, and people can listen to them share that. If you're doing an online presentation, you can play that presentation in the middle of your presentation, which will make it more engaging, because instead of you saying it, now they're watching and listening to one of your customers share about how amazing you are. So I'm just sharing this to add to what Tatiana is saying. That is really, really amazing, and that solidifies you as the expert and as the person to trust and to hire for the specific service. Let me go ahead and give a shout out here to the folks that are just joining us. What's good, my man? Lloyd Talks. He said great stuff. And David Hunt said, that's good, JP. Hashtag testimonials. Yes, absolutely. Hashtag testimonials, family. You have to collect those, because that gives you the social proof that you need, right? In order to validate the things that you say you do so well. Now, Tatiana, let's take this a step further here, please, right? And we want to talk about interactive content like polls, Q&A, and all that. So many teachers and so many people are using that. But the question I have for you is, how do they impact our engagement, right? Like, what creative ways can businesses or people employ to make connection even more personal, even a little more engaging? Give us an example of something you've done or something that we can learn from.
I strive for my content to be three things, whether it's the classroom or the stream or the interview. I want it to be meaningful, memorable, and fun. So let's start with meaningful. The activity should somehow relate to the content, to your core message. Now, some live streams are purely for entertainment purposes, so they don't have to necessarily be connected, just by being entertaining, that is connected to the content. But for
Mm-hmm.
example, in my classroom, I want the activity to still relate to the core message, to the core lesson, to the core objective. One example is that I'll bring a magnetic dartboard into my classroom, and I start with the question, how good is your aim? Does anybody here have really good aim? I need 4 volunteers who are going to tell me that they have really good aim. And then people will eventually chime in. So I've got my 4 people who have great aim. And I think I actually have a video. So let me just show you a quick snippet of this dartboard that I'm talking about here.
Yes, please.
Oh, 140, 160. 160. Wait, what was the highest? 160. Oh. So that's just to show you what it looks like, and the students are shooting this. That could be fun, and I'm starting the class this way so it's engaging, but it also ties into the lesson, which is AIM. AIM. A is for audience, I is for intent, M is for message. And we'll do that lesson over the course of a few weeks. But I told you I start out early on in the semester talking about audience. So I want them to remember AIM. So that's one way, making something physical happen anytime that I can. It's not always possible, but in this case, it's like, oh, I'm going to teach them the AIM lesson. I'll get a magnetic dartboard, talk about AIM. This will help them remember AIM. I talk about it several times throughout the semester. So that's one way. Another way is, for example, when I was doing a live stream with eCam, I thought, okay, what's going to be meaningful, memorable, and fun for the eCam audience? So I collected a bunch of snippets of laughs from members of the eCam community that people would recognize. And then I had them guess whose laugh it was. And it was so much fun. First of all, when we hear somebody laughing or see somebody smiling, we can't help but do the same thing because of those mirror neurons, But it just was fun to guess. People loved to guess, play games, but it was meaningful because there were voices that they recognized. It would make no sense to bring in people that they wouldn't recognize.
Right,
So
right.
you're thinking about your audience, you're building in an activity that has meaning to them. And again, the meaning doesn't have to be like a big, strong learning objective. It can just be, hey, these are people that we know. This would be fun to do that. And so I'm always thinking of ways to make it enjoyable because when we're kids, we're always taught that learning is fun. And then all of a sudden, we get older, and I'm not sure why it changes. Like, why is learning no longer fun as we get older? I still think that we learn best when we're having a good time. So I try to build that into the audience engagement piece of it as well.
That's amazing. Good question. Why is it that learning all of a sudden is not fun anymore because we're not younger anymore? No, it's the same content, it's the same information, it's the same learning, right? So shout out to you, Kimberly G in the house. Thank you for joining us here on the live show. All right.
Kimberly.
Yay, Tatiana. So I can't believe we've gotten to the end of the show. The last question that I have for you, of course, before you share with us how we can connect with you is, okay, what would you want, now that we've gotten to the end of the show, what would you want the audience to retain? If they haven't retained anything in the 10%, what will be the information you want them to take home and never to forget? Please let us know. We'll appreciate that.
Okay, so let me summarize it with this. I mentioned some of the science, so know the science. Things like habituation, like the 10% memorability, but also plan strategies, number 2, right? So know the science, number 1. Plan for interactive strategies, number 2. Make a plan for it, make it happen. And if you're not comfortable with it, find a group of friends that are going to be willing to test it out with you so you can see, how am I at leading this activity? How can I make it flow naturally? And I'm sure you can find people to do that. So number 1, know the science. Number 2, plan for engaging content. And number 3, and I would say that this is the secret, right? This is the secret, is that you have to actually care about your audience. You have to actually, like, in your heart. That's why everyone gives you so much advice, like pick an audience, pick a job that you love, that you can put your heart into, content that you want to create. So in the hard days, you can still keep going. So that's number 3, is really, truly care, because that comes through. I hear my students say it all the time. Like, you can tell when a professor cares and when a professor doesn't care.
Right.
You can tell when someone cares and someone doesn't care as well. So know the science, plan engaging content, and let them know you care.
Whew. Know the content, plan engaging content, right? And they need to know that you care. How much do you care? And I want to add something that my man Kerwin added in the chat. AIM, right? He said setting up those triggers for the audience to go in that targeted, space in the mind. He said he likes that a lot. The AIM is just amazing. And nice. I got my man Marcus. Marcus is putting some hearts. Say care. That's amazing. And now we've gone to the end. I want to ask you, what about the folks that are like, I want to connect with her. I love what she's talking about. I like her a lot. I want to network with her. I want to grow with her. And folks, she also has a YouTube channel, all right, that you got to follow, because she has amazing conversations there as well. If you like what she's talking about, I encourage you to follow her. Before she even tells you, I will tell you right now. She's on YouTube, Tatiana Teaches, right? Go and
That's
find
right.
her. But
on YouTube?
Yeah. Go ahead. Take it.
On YouTube at Tatiana Teaches, and on LinkedIn at Hello Tatiana Rodriguez. So YouTube is Tatiana Teaches. LinkedIn is Hello Tatiana Rodriguez, my full name. but you should be able to cross find me on those. I also do have a TikTok channel where I post short content. So you can find me in the at Tatiana Teaches as well. So those are some of the spaces where it would be great to connect with me. Definitely LinkedIn and YouTube would be fantastic, but TikTok is also an option. So those are the 3 social media platforms where you can find me. My website is tatianateaches.com. So I try to keep that content Tatiana Teaches, and the focus of it is around creating classes. That can also apply to streaming and content creation. So any of the principles that I talk about also apply to content creation. So there's a nice overlap in that, even though the target, the audience, the language educators. But if you think about it, when we're doing live streams, very often we are looking to educate our audience as well.
That's true. That's true. And thank you so much. It was an amazing show. We appreciate all the information. Please don't go anywhere. Let me go ahead and close here, and I'll be right with you backstage. Thank you again.
Before you go, JP, can I say one
Yes.
thing?
Yeah, of course.
Just want
Yeah.
to give a big shout out to the people who showed up tonight and who were kind enough to comment. And even if you were here and didn't comment, thank you for your presence. And I hope that you're taking away something really valuable tonight that you can apply in your own lives. Thank you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. I want to give you another shout out as well. I'm looking right here on Amazon. I am clear as crystal. Joined. She said, Dern, I just got here. Sorry. I know. We had an amazing conversation. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry about that. We'll be here tomorrow, and I know you guys will enjoy. Just to remind you guys, the book, right, is available for pre-order right now, the Live Stream Blueprint. If you didn't know, I just released my new book, currently available. Just go to the website, thelivestreamblueprint.com. All right. Thelivestreamblueprint.com is where you need to go. Go ahead, look for the book. The Live Stream Blueprint is currently available. And what I give you guys, all the blueprint, the secrets in order for you to grow your business, right? Leveraging live streaming. And there's so much into it that is done wonders for me in my business. And I'm sharing with you guys. That's really, really amazing stuff. Go ahead and grab it today. You will not regret it. And it's dropping officially November 3rd. Grab your copy, pre-order right now, the Live Stream Blueprint. And I want to hear from you. I want to see what you guys think, because so many years, 15 plus years in this industry, I've taken the time to really give you guys the solution, right? If you post across so many social medias and you're like, yo, I'm not getting that true return. I'm serious about making money. We're not talking about YouTube monetization here. We're talking about really growing your business, right? And there's a strategy to adopt if you want to grow it, and go ahead and get it today, right? This is an easy read. Within 3 to 4 hours, you'll be done with this book. And I can guarantee you after that, you will have all the secrets that I've been using for years in order to grow my business. And go ahead and grab it today. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. This was something that we do every single week. We'll be back tomorrow, right here on the Content Creators University. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and be safe, like I always say. Shalom. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys. Bye.